Today we have with us Iman. Could you please tell us about who you are and what you do?
Of course I can. Depends on how long you've got. So, my name is Emmanuel. Most people call me Iman. I am a businessman, entrepreneur. I have a few businesses, one of them being a sports management company. So we represent footballers and football clubs, deal with negotiating contracts, the buying of players, selling of players, and so on and so forth. I have a property business where we own buildings which we refurbish, turn them into, some of them into HMOs, some of them into flats and apartments, and we either Airbnb them out or rent them out. I've got a lifestyle management company that deals with helping people understand how investing and finances actually work. So, in a nutshell, those are a few of the hats that I wear.
Which industry did you actually start off in?
Ironically, the first business I ever had was in media.
Oh.
So it was creating content for YouTube before YouTube was what YouTube is. So a very, 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 very long time ago. Clubs, events, parties and promoters used to use Facebook, for example, as a means to promote their content. So they used to hire media companies or photographers or videographers to come and take pictures, videos of their events and upload them on Facebook. Then that transitioned to uploading them onto YouTube. So I created a business that helped create sketches and storyboarding for content for YouTube. So that was the first business I had.
How did you go from that to being a football agent?
Well, to be honest, I've always played. I played football till I couldn't anymore because of my knee. So football was always a part of my life, if that makes sense. I think I was 17 when I started a business. And I was making money, but I was spending twice as much as I was making because I didn't have the experience, I was great at bringing business in, but then I started giving all of my friends jobs and paying them £1,500 a month 15 years ago or so. And it's like, wait, the maths don't make sense. That business didn't turn a profit, but it gave me a world of experience. I went to uni, and after I came out of uni, I was at BP for a few years. I was head of logistics, I was head of all of the expats and all of that kind of stuff. It was a really good job, but my passion had always been to own my own business, and I always felt like, why would I slave over building someone else's dream when I can build my own? That's what sort of prompted me to get back into football. I didn't know that there was a route for it until a family friend who is a very well-known footballer gave me an opportunity and knocked it out of the park. And I started working with him till the end of his career, and that's what basically solidified my position within football specifically.
So for someone that wants to become a football agent, what...
Don't do it. I'm joking.
Well, how would they go down the route of starting?
The first thing is, why? Why do you want to be a football agent? So that's the first thing that they need to understand. They need to know their why. What's their reasoning? Is it because of the money? Is it because of the glitz and glamour? Is it because of what they perceive it to be? If that has nothing to do with your reasoning, that's a great step. Because a lot of people get into an industry because they feel like they will get X out of that industry, and when they don't, they get frustrated, which means it was never for love in the first place. Right? So I think the first thing is they need to love football. They need to be passionate about it. They need to want to learn all the time. They need to, if you walk around my house, for example, there is a TV in every room, and 9 times out of 10, football is on. Football from here, Spain, Portugal, Turkey, everywhere. Why? Because I can consistently learn, and I take notes, and there's pieces of paper everywhere where I write stuff that no one else will understand but myself. So my advice to someone that wanted to get into the football business is make sure it's for passion. That's the first thing. Second thing is connect yourself with somebody who is solid and has solidified themselves in the business. Yeah? Sorry about that. Why? Because it's not easy, it's not something that you could just stumble into it. It's all about your contacts, it's all about your contact list, who's on your phone, who can you reach to, who can you reach out to, and so on and so forth. So that's the first thing. Shadow somebody, learn the core of the business. Nowadays online there is plenty of courses on the football agency. So try and just do a YouTube course. Just try and see what it entails on the business front, and then probably you'll be in a good position.
What networking advice would you give them to put themselves in a good position or surround themselves around people already in the industry?
Don't be shy. Don't be shy. Like if you go to a football game, if you see someone that looks or moves or talks like an agent, ask them questions. Oh, sorry, are you a football agent? Sorry, how do you know? Like, don't be shy. Show interest. Be keen. Because if you're not showing interest and you're not showing that you're keen or you're really interested in that field, chances are they will just overlook you and think, oh, it's a waste of time, you know. So the best thing is go to football games, try to find under 23 games, under 18 games, and go to those games, and you will 100% find agents there. And just approach them. Sorry, are you an agent? And get the conversation. You need to have charisma. You can't be stern-faced and, you know, hi. How can I help you? No, you need to be outgoing. You need to be able to, you know, be a version of yourself that people will take to.
How do you go out to get the players that you work with? How do you choose what games that you go to?
Now?
Okay, when you started and now as well.
So when I started, I was lucky enough to start with a massive player. Someone that transcended like any introductions, if that makes sense. So for me it was very different. So I've never had to really go and look for players, you know. And today I've got a big team that does exactly that. They go to these games, I don't. They look at the young players, they scout them, they find players that are interesting, bring them to a meeting, we discuss them, watch footage of them, and then we decide who we're going to sign or who we're going to work with, etc. But today, 90% of the players that I work with and clubs come to me.
How did you build that name for yourself in the industry?
So the first thing is the people that I've represented has allowed me to have a foot in the door, if that makes sense. And then the clubs that I've also worked with. So I say this all the time. I don't need to work with everybody and for everybody. And nobody does. If you've got 2 or 3 or 5 clubs that you work with, you will never go without. Does that make sense? So my reputation working with one club has led me to working with 2, to working with 3, to working with the clubs that I work with now. So there are certain clubs that all their deals happen and go through me. That is what happens when you work with a certain level of ethics, with a certain level of professionalism, and you're a good negotiator.
And what would you say are certain things that you look for when you're hiring people to work for you, because they obviously represent you and your company?
How interested are you? That's the first thing that I look at. And then once I see your level of interest, the next thing that I question myself is, will you listen? You know, I think especially in a male-dominated field, there's a lot of egos in place, you know. So how ready are you to listen? How ready are you to say, actually, you know, this is what I want to So that's what I look for. And then your knowledge of the game, but not just of clubs, but your knowledge of how football is supposed to be, in the sense of like, how do you create a progressive team? What kind of player this is, and like, what is it? Oh, this is a defensive-minded player. This is an attacking player. This is a player that can play, in the front three. You know, like your understanding and knowledge of the game, like being able to look at a player that says he's a central midfielder and say, actually, now you're more of a right back, or you're more of a left back, or you're more of a, you understand, being able to adapt and adjust based on what you've seen to be able to reach that maximum potential. So that's what I look for.
How do you normally look for the people working for you?
I always go through recommendations. I always go through recommendation for 3 reasons. Reason number 1, because of the type of industry it is, I need to know who you are. You know, you're going to be around me, I need to be able to trust you. You're going to be privy to certain conversations. I need to be aware that you've got integrity and character, not to carry those left, right and centre.
I would say that goes back to the fact about networking as well, because if they put themselves in positions where they know people in your industry, then they could be recommended as well.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't think I've ever seen an agency advertise, oh, we're looking for agents. I don't think that happens. I think they come via knowing themselves in the industry. You know me, I know John, and John, I feel like it will be a good fit for your company. I'll put you two together. That's how it normally works.
Are there any specific events as well that they could possibly go to where a lot of football agents might be at?
Football Summit. So there is a football summit. I don't know. But there is a football summit, which is a great place to network, is a great place to see what's happening within the industry. Like, meet clubs, meet sporting directors, meet heads of academy, and so on and so forth, and other agents. And they're great events to go to. The reason why I feel like a lot of people don't attend them that want to get into the industry is because of how much it may cost. So the last one, I think it was in Portugal, in Lisbon. So you've got to fly yourself out there, you've got to put yourself up in a hotel, you've got to pay for your registration fee or whatever that might be. So people might feel like, yeah, I want to put that money in. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so you have to be willing to invest in yourself.
In yourself.
Yeah. So I know you're also bilingual. Could you tell us about how you learned the languages and what led you to actually doing that? And has that given you more opportunities in the fields you're in?
Has it given me more opportunities? 1,000,000%. I think it's very rare for you to find someone who's bilingual, let alone someone that speaks 4 languages like myself. So when you're dealing with clubs abroad, when you're dealing with players foreign, etc., that gives you a great length of not only credibility but relatability. So everyone knows that I've specialised in doing a lot of South American players. So, and the reason why I can do that is because I can communicate with them in their native tongue, and I can also translate for them when bringing them over here, and so on and so forth. So it puts me in a great position. But the first language that I learned was Portuguese, because I lived in Brazil for a while, and that was when I was younger. I was much younger. And then obviously when I went into school, Spanish GCSE was a no-brainer because, you know, if you need anything to be easy, then why not? They're very similar. But once I got into working in football, you know, I spent 6 months in Greece and I learned a bit of Greek. I'm a quick learner, so that's how all of that came about.
What are some mistakes you've made on your journey that that you're grateful for?
Starting early was a mistake, and the reason why I say it was a mistake was because I wasn't ready. Yeah, I wasn't ready to do what I set out to do. But on the flip side, had I not done that, maybe I wouldn't be where I am today. So I made those mistakes, hiring people, not understanding that you've got to pay national insurance, you've got not understanding that the amount of money that you charge isn't what you make. Understanding all of those little bits and pieces. What mistakes I'm grateful for making them at the point in which I made them. But also I'm a firm believer that nothing is a mistake, everything is a lesson. If you don't make a mistake, you probably wouldn't learn. If everything worked out, the day that something didn't, you would probably collapse. So I feel like I'm grateful for being able to make those mistakes early on and then reshape the trajectory of my business.
Are there any specific ones that have stuck with you that really might have slowed you down a bit?
I think hiring people close to your circle, then feeling obliged to keep them there, irrespective of how good or bad they are at their job. Doing business with friends is great. Like, everyone wants to make money with their friends, etc. But when you hire a friend to work for you, there needs to be a separation between the friendship and the employer-employee relationship. And those lines can get blurred really, really quickly. Being able to recover from that, sometimes you might lose the business or you might lose the friendship.
What would you say motivates you?
When I was in school, when I was 14, 15, they start asking you like, what do you want to do? Where do you want to go? And at a very early age, I was like, oh yeah, I want to be a millionaire. I want to be a millionaire. And so I started selling phones in school. Naughty. But I started selling phones in school because my next door neighbour used to live next to this Asian family. And his dad owned like loads of phone shops. So sometimes they'll get phones that are like faulty or comes with something missing and this and the other. And he would either give it to the family or send it to India or whatever. So I said to my mate, Deepak, I said to him, oh, can I buy them off you? And then he was like, yeah, but for how much? I said like, oh, whatever I give you, like, you would have sent it to India anyway. Like, whatever I give you is profit. So like, we had a little operation. He would get the phones from his dad. Personally, now in hindsight, I think he stole them. But he'll get the phone from his dad. He'll give it to me. Then I'll sell it. And then I'll give him the money, and then we'll split the money. So yeah. So that's what I started doing, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to be a businessman. I'm going to, that was always my ethos.
How are people able to afford phones in school?
Listen. You save your school lunch money, you ask your parents for money. Listen, and to be fair, I was selling them phones really cheap. I was selling them at like 60 quid a pop when they were like £200. It's funny because when you think of it now, this is almost £1,500.
Yeah.
So when you think of like a phone was £200, you think, wow, it was a long time ago.
How do you create opportunities for yourself?
It's a very good question. I feel like if you're always looking, you will always find. And I feel like I'm constantly on the lookout. I'll speak to anybody. I have no arrogance or pride to say, oh yeah, I'm going to talk to them. Like, I'm constantly speaking, I'm constantly reading, looking at what's happening in the industry. I've created a very close relationship with the people that I've partnered with, like some clubs, etc. So I see them often, so I know things that are happening, and I feel like those acts create the opportunities that I have.
When starting up, did you have a mentor?
I do till today.
Oh.
I think mentorship is very important. My dad used to say this to me, and I think it stuck with me. He said, you need someone in your life who you won't have to pray and ask God before you believe what they say to you. So I believe that the importance of mentorship is because someone has been there and done it. And if they haven't done it, they have the knowledge to do it. And if they don't have the knowledge to do it, they have the wisdom to understand. And I feel like that is important. My mentor has never worked in football a day in his life. But he's a multi-millionaire that has built a business from the ground up, that has seen every type of adversity that you can probably imagine. So when I'm speaking to him about something, sometimes I'm like, oh, but it's different when it... And then I just had to remind myself, actually, it's not, you know. And then that has allowed me to grow and to be where I'm at. So I like that, and I mentor a few people as well. I feel like it's important for you to be able to pass that knowledge onto someone else, pass that experience onto someone else, help someone maximize their potential. Because I believe that all of us, especially black people, if we're going to talk about Afro-Caribbean, we are hugely talented. We're very intelligent. We're very entrepreneurial. But there are a few things that we do to ourselves, in my opinion, that takes away from us achieving the next level. And I want to be able to help as many people as I can to break that barrier.
How did you get your first mentee?
They came to ask me. I didn't really know them, but they knew of me. So they came to ask me and they said, can you mentor me? Just literally like that. And I was like, why? Why do you want me to mentor you? He said that he understands that he's hitting a ceiling at the moment, and he wants to be able to break from that, and he wants to be able to achieve certain things, and he's seen that I've done it, and he likes the way that I speak and how my thoughts are put together, etc. So yeah, he's been with me now for a year and a half.
Okay, so now we're going on to property. How did you get into that industry as well?
So to be honest, my dad is the one that was into property, or is into property. And then obviously once I became of age, he started to give me work to do with regards to that. So he's like, oh, go and see these people, go to this person's house. They are not paying rent, they are not doing this. The heater is not working. So, you know, so obviously as he started to get older, he wanted someone that was more agile to kind of moving around and taking nonsense from tenants, I suppose. So that's how I started working with that, and then I started going with him to auctions, and then I understand the process of buying an auction. Then I understood the process of buying, getting planning permission, renovating, refinancing, leasing, and so on and so forth. So eventually I said to him, I said, listen, working with you is a bit of a myth now. So, you know, he decided to quote unquote retire, so I took over managing his properties, and then I started building my own portfolio. We've put it together now, we've got a good business.
And also, speaking about your dad bringing you into that, how would you say your upbringing shaped you into the person you are today?
There were positives and there were negatives. I don't want to cloud anything by saying, oh yeah, it was great, because one thing that I've learned, and I go through it now, is that when you're building something and you're working towards a legacy, you're working towards something greater than yourself, you are busy. You don't have a lot of time. You don't spend a lot of time with family. You don't spend a lot of time with those around you. You just don't. It's not something that you do. You understand? However, for those around you, it could be very impactful, you know. So my dad was as present as he could be, but most would say he wasn't present enough, if that makes sense. But today, doing all of the things that I do and juggling all of the hats that I juggle, I understand that for you to even have a relationship or anything of the sort, the person who you're with needs to understand that you're working towards something that is for the greater good, you know. So I feel like that has made me understand. I didn't understand then, but I do now, you know. And I feel like my dad was always very supportive of me going into business. So the first business I started, he gave me a £5,000 loan, which I paid back. Didn't let me rest. Why? Because he believed in me, and that was his way of injecting something into me. Like, he got me my first car because he was like, okay, so if you're doing this, you have to be able to move at a drop of a hat. So he got me like a car and stuff like that. So he's definitely been like the cornerstone for what I've been able to build so far.
What would you say are some things that you like about being in property and some things that are annoying at times?
The good thing about property is exciting to see a shell turn into this, you understand, turn into something amazing. Like, that's something that is very exciting to go and see. Oh my gosh, these doors. Like, you get excited by little things that people pay no mind to. But if you were here when there was no walls and no nothing, and now you see walls and a door there, like, all of a sudden it's like, oh, this is taking shape. But then when you have to deal with tenants that don't pay their rent, or you have to deal with the council wanting to take your property on because it needs it for the quota, and like, those things you don't really love dealing with, but they're part and parcel. You've got to take the good with the bad always, because nothing is just sunshine and rainbows.
Do you normally work with property managers as well?
So we have our own property managers.
How do you finance properties? And
so there are so many different ways you can finance a deal. Yeah? Because of the type of business that I have, we have our own money and we have investors' money. So we take on investors that, you know, trust us and wants to see a yield and return on their investment. Because me personally, I say to everyone that I know, there is no point in having savings. Savings will not help you at all. But if you have investments, so if you've invested money, and I'm not just talking about crypto because that's what everyone goes to, crypto, stocks and shares, etc. No, I'm mainly referring to investing in tangible assets, in something that you can touch and hold, etc. You know, and if you don't know, you work with a company that knows, etc. That's how we fund our deals. So we have people, obviously, maybe some of them might be players that work with me and trust me, so they're willing to give me their money to look after and build. Some of them might be other businessmen, or some of them might be a regular Joe like yourself. Oh yeah, I've got 15, 20 grand laying around and I want to do something. What can I do on this deal? Do you want to get into it? You know, you work on that, so that's how we finance things.
And how does the rent-to-rent scheme work?
To be honest, it's not something that I do. I feel like it is great for people with a low level of initial capital to get into the property game. The issue that I see with that is, for instance, let's say you came and you rented this house with the purpose of obviously re-renting it. The first issue is you rent this house for, let's say, 4 grand. And now you've got to, at the bare minimum, make 4 grand in order to be in profit, you know. And then let's say you rent this house out for 6 grand. Fine, you've made 2 grand profit. But at the end of 3-6 months, if you, for whatever reason, don't have, or your tenant lost their job, they can't pay, etc., it's very difficult, in my opinion, and tricky to manage and sustain that long term. I think it's a great stepping stone, but just all I say is just always make sure you do your research.
You also said you have an investment company. Could you please tell us a bit more about that?
I look after a lot of footballers, so we manage them, and I've always wanted to be able to look after them in a way that they have something once they stop playing. Because a lot of footballers, they may be rich today and they may be making 100 grand a week, but guess what? They're also spending sometimes 100 grand a week. They live a very fast-paced lifestyle because they also earn money very, very quickly. So what I've tried to create is an investment opportunity for those who I work with and those who are in my circle, where we look at ways in which we can make money. You know, everyone knows that to make money, you've got to have money. You understand that? It's very difficult for you to make money from nothing. I find it funny, and it's just, you go and you scroll on Instagram and make 10 grand today, get rich in 24 hours. There is no get rich quick scheme. That doesn't exist. It's not like real. I'll say this, and probably get a lot of stick for saying it, but I feel like black people, we're very skeptical of black people. If a white man, and this is, I mean, there's no easier way to say this, to be honest, but if a white man came and said, oh yeah, I've got an investment opportunity, X, Y, and Z, X, Y, and Z, people will just, they'll be borrowing money from their auntie to invest in that, which is fine, yeah. However, we don't trust our own. If another black man said, I've got an investment opportunity, X, Y, and Z, is a scam. What country are you from? Nigeria. It's I'm alright, thank you. Why? Because we've created that prejudice amongst ourselves. You know, I can tell you that none of the people I work with are black. None of them. It's shocking. It's something that makes me sad. But at the end of the day, I'm a businessman. So, black, white, Chinese, grey, pink, I don't care. I'm here to do business, you know. So yeah, that's what I think. We lack that financial literacy from home. Most of our parents didn't understand the importance of credit, how to build credit. I had a conversation with someone that was asking for guidance, and it was like, oh, I keep on getting declined for credit, but I have no this, I have no that, I've got no CCJs, I've got no credit. And I said, that is your problem. You have no credit. So if you've never taken credit, how will I trust you with credit? But that's something that a lot of people don't know, they're unfamiliar with. How is it that now, at 27, you want to go and get a car on finance that is 50 or 60 grand, but you've never even had a credit card? How do I know that you can pay this back? You ain't got a proven track record. So I've always said to people, oh, I hate the idea of credit card. It's because you ain't got discipline. You can't control yourself. You feel like the money is yours. That money ain't yours. That's borrowed money. But if you want to build your credit, I say to people all the time, if you want to build your credit, you know what you do? You get a credit card. You live off of that credit card, which means if at the end of the month you earn £2,500, and that's how much you pay for your bills, you pay out of your credit card £2,500. But when the end of the month comes and you get paid, you take your paycheck and you pay the entirety of your credit card. Once you do that for 6 months, you will see your credit skyrocket, because they're saying this guy knows what he's doing. He can manage money. So those are little things that people would never discuss. And as a community, we're not interested in listening to those who have been able to build credit or build a business. We're stepping into a very difficult time in this country. I predict that within the next 6 months, 6 to 12 months, we're going to have a major crash, which means that the ability for credit will be scarce. So your credit today will be very important then, because they'll only give it to people with A1 credit. I believe that the property market is going to have an absolute shit show. Excuse my French. Yeah? It will have an absolute blunder. So this is the time for people to start getting their things in order.
What kind of things do you invest in?
For me personally, I like to invest in things I can touch, that I can hold, that if push came to shove, I could sell. So watches and stuff like that is my personal. But on a business scale, we've got flatbeds. So flatbeds are like the recovery trucks. So you know you have flatbeds to help service the AA and other recoveries to recover cars. You can, if you was broken down and you didn't want to call the AA because you thought it would be too expensive, then you could potentially call us and we can assist. So that's the sort of stuff that I invest in. Like we've got football academies that we invest in as well, that We build the space and we charge parents a fee annually to be able to train their kids and so on and so forth. So that's my type of investment, and obviously property.
What advice will you give to young people about financial literacy and managing money?
Forget Instagram. Forget what you see. Forget what is in fashion. Worry about you. Worry about yourself. I think the most important lesson I've ever learned is you've got time. You've got time. You've got time to reach those things. I feel like because of social media, it's created a microwave effect. People want to put it in, they want it instant, they want it now, which is what has led to some people going into different sectors of business, which we will mention it. But I feel like don't be so quick, trust the process. You don't need to be doing drippy today. Wouldn't you rather do drippy comfortably, where you know that you've bought that £500 t-shirt, but you can still go out and have a meal. You don't have to be on beans and toast till the end of the month. Do you know what I mean? It is important for us to be able to avoid those little mistakes. And I think that's the advice that I would give. Look at how much money you have. Look at how much money you're going to put aside towards investing. Look at what is important, what's crucial. The place where you live, your food, and your transportation to and from work and getting around. Those things are absolutely paramount. All your bills are paramount. Yeah. So you can't sacrifice your bills for appearance. And the truth of the matter is, if you ever looked at my social media, there's nothing there. I've seen it. There's nothing there. I don't post nothing. I don't post what I have. I post where I go. I don't do none of that because I don't want to create a false narrative of oh yeah, this is life. Because if you was to work like how I work, you die. You understand? You will collapse. So if you see what I have, but you don't see what I did to get it, that could create a massive problem. Do you understand? Yeah. Because I have a line with my friends and I say, if you want to do what I do, work how I work. And then most people won't want to do that. So.
How many hours did you have to put in when start compared to now?
I still put in just as much, to be honest. But yeah, to give you context, I sleep an average of 4 hours a day. I sleep an average of 4 hours a day. No, I don't really go out. I don't really do the whole socializing thing. The only thing that I do consistently is I play football 4 or 5 times a week. Yeah. That's for exercise to release my mind and that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's what I do. So I put in a lot of hours.
How did it feel like for you making your first million?
I think the first thing that hit me was that it's not as much as I thought it was. No, but it sounds funny, but it's true. Once you reach a certain number, and then you realize, you've got to pay more tax. You realize that now your house costs more, now your council tax costs more, now your light and your gas bill costs more, now the car that you drive costs more. Now, do you understand? So you realize actually that ain't a lot. So you set yourself another goal, and then you reach that, and then you're like, oh, this might just do it. You know what I'm trying to say? So it always keeps you motivated to make more. But I think the first thing that I thought was wow, it is achievable. It is something that can be done. It's not impossible. You don't need to have 2 heads and 5 bodies.
You're quite well-spoken, and as a black man as well, do you sometimes get people commenting on the way you speak?
Yeah, I get that all the time. And I feel like, again, don't get me twisted, I can switch out. But when you move and maneuver in certain spaces and with a certain caliber of people, it becomes the norm. That's how they communicate. That's how you understand. And let's be honest, you're in this world to make an impact, to leave a legacy. You need to be able to adapt, and you need to be able to be be versatile, you know. Do I like being in a suit every day? Not really. But I understand that what I do carries a certain weight, you know. I won't go into too much detail, but I signed a deal the other day, a multi-million pound deal, and I was wearing a tracksuit.
Yeah.
But the reason I did that was because I said to myself that I wanted to, and I'm probably going to frame this, but I wanted to, you can see it there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Two wealthy white men next to me. It was a weekend, so everyone was supposed to be dressed down, but my dress down is a tracksuit.
Yeah.
Do you understand? And I wanted them to know that they're doing this still with a black man. You know, because I feel like because of the way that I speak sometimes, or the way that I dress, sometimes they forget that I'm actually black. But I wanted that to be a representation that where you're from, what you wear is not a definition of who you are. But thank you very much for complimenting my...
Being a sports agent, what's the cut of the deals that is normally taken?
It depends. Some people do percentage, so some people take 5, 10%, 7%, 8%, 15%, 12%. I believe in value added.
Yeah.
So I don't stipulate my fee based on a percentage, but I believe in my worth and the job that I do, how much is worth, and I'll charge you according to that.
Okay.
And that obviously we'll negotiate, but it's usually, sometimes I do better than 10%. Sometimes I think 10% is too much. Sometimes 10% is not enough.
Hello. I'm good, thanks.
Yeah, so here we're coming in through the shop. This door will be boarded off, and this is one of the 3 bedrooms in this house. It's a split level house. It's a shower in here. There's another room with mezzanine.
Okay.
You know, so we've got downstairs and upstairs. All the furniture that is gonna go. That's bed, wardrobe, something like that. And here is there's another shower room here, kitchen. This is actually technically the main entrance. This is how we come in. Here. Then here you have what you can make into a bedroom, an office, a dining room, a kids' play area, whatever. Yeah. This is it. So this is the communal kitchen. So on this floor we've got 2 studio apartments, and this is one of them. This is one of them. With a balcony, it's got, you know, it's fully furnished.
And how much is it for this property per month?
This one is a rental, so on the long-term basis is $11.50, but we have a few units that we Airbnb, so the Airbnb is £125 a day.
And in this building, how many studios do you have?
In this building, 8, and then we've got a 3-bedroom house as well.
Okay, and how much did it cost you as well?
All in all, I'll just speak about the refurb, because I'm not going to go into the purchase of the building, etc. Just the refurb costs in region of 350,000.
Wow. And how much are you looking to make from this build? So how long would you say it will take you to make back the money that you've put inside?
So when you're dealing with these kind of properties, you're not thinking of, oh, when will I make my money back? Because the asset is the building.
Yeah.
What this building gives you is cash flow.
Yeah.
So with the rental income, you have cash flow, but you still own the building. And in a few years' time, you can refinance, you can do whatever you want and pull your money out.
Okay. Let me just show the kitchen as well. Then
Have fun. I'll show you an area better than that.
when it comes to taxes and tax expenses that you can write off, when did you learn about it and what kind of things did you not know about being able to write off before?
There's a lot of things that I didn't know, and there's a lot of things I feel like I'm still learning. Adam, my accountant, is very good. He's very good at finding ways of being creative with your tax, putting things under the business so that you can claim the expense and the VAT back if you're a VAT registered business like we are. There are loads of different things that I've learned. Like, I used to think that the idea of paying yourself a small salary would be impactful to your credit and your ability to buy a property or whatever, but it's not. Like, they are just tax efficient ways, because you will pay less on your income tax because you've got a lower wage structure, and then you take your dividends, which has a set percentage set on them. So, you know, it's just creative ways to make sure you still have the money, you still earn it, it still comes in as an income. So if you're looking at mortgage and all of those kind of things, it doesn't affect you, but it helps you pay the least amount of tax possible.
And for those that don't know what dividends are, could you just briefly explain
So
that?
if you own a business, or you're a shareholder in a business, and that business is in profit, what you can do is the company can pay you a dividend, which is a portion of the profits that the company has made, that is set up by its shareholders or directors. So, for example, if I have a company that I'm the only director, I can determine, based on the company's net profit, what I can take as a dividend. So I can take the whole money the whole amount as a dividend, which is not smart, because you're taking capital out of your business, or you can take a fraction of that as dividends and reinvest the rest into your business.
Thank you.